Uzo, do you think there was some Real Housewives wine-throwing strategy that Jon could have done as a Hail Mary?
You mean like, let's talk about the husband?
Yes. I think the great Sandra Diaz Twine once overturned a bucket of fish to upset attention.
Yeah.
I think it might have been a time to shit in the rice, Jon. You should have considered shitting in the rice.
I don't know if you guys saw, but I was on Survivor. Here to help roast my sandy ass to my sunburned face, please welcome to the stage the hilarious Guy Branum and the incredible Uzo Aduba. Come on in. Hi, thank you for being here. You brought the Emmy. Emmy Award winning.
Oh, I'm so
Branum.
sorry. I forgot that I had this in my hands. It just... Uzo, you won an Emmy, didn't you?
I did.
What was it for?
It was for guest actor in a comedy.
Oh, Jon, you'll be up for that this season because you were in less than 4 episodes of a season, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Is that a fucking loophole?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the crooked lawyers on that. All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to show you several clips from last night's Survivor premiere, which is also my last episode of Survivor.
Okay.
You're going to rate my performance in a segment we're calling The Tribe Has Misspoken. All right. In the first clip, I introduced myself to my teammates and find out if we have any fans on the island.
I started a podcast called Pod Save America.
I've heard the name.
Well, have any of you listened to it?
I haven't listened to
How many? Maybe.
I feel like your podcast is huge, right?
You do all right.
That's super cool.
Jon grabbed Andy and took him away, and I'm like, okay. And they're great vibes, but I'm just saying, I just think, we just have that. We don't need to try. You know what I mean?
Did you talk a lot about your podcast?
Yeah. No, Uzo Aduba. I talked about it one time, and they put it in. We were together all the fucking time. You really never break off. And it was a moment where it was like, that's one little flash of time before everybody was doing tasks. And it was like, we were all breaking off to do things. And it just sort of, I went in so, like, truly never wanting to be not in the big group. And that was maybe one moment. All right, next clip.
Remember Vine?
Wait, we all know that reference. Do you know that one?
Okay. I'm not that old.
Oh my God! I was just wondering.
Vine. No, I love Vine. I remember Vine was 30 awesome.
when Vine was popping.
That's right. I was still a young person.
Looking at my tribe, I'm realizing I'm not getting to know a group of people. I'm getting to know a group of young people. I am 41 years old. Okay, so I'm old now.
That is rough. Like, that is rough to show up to Survivor, imagining yourself twink adjacent, and realizing, no, wait, I'm supposed to be the cop on this season?
Uzo,
I'm the dad.
you are a Real Housewives person.
Love.
Thank
you. Yeah.
Do you feel any similarities between the Real Housewives universe to the Survivor universe?
Yes, the only difference is you can't get voted off.
Oh, that seems right for me.
Well, no, Andy can vote you off.
Well, true, and has.
And has.
Yes, but yes.
Guy, where are you with reality TV right now?
Oh, I'm watching a lot of Alone. Alone is an amazing program where they drop 9 men and 1 woman in the Canadian wilderness, and they survive with only 10 items and their wits, and then in the 10th episode, somebody carves their children's name into their shelter, and you realize, uh-oh, he probably has very strong feelings about immigrants. Because the names are like Thor and Freya and stuff like that, you know?
Let's roll the next clip.
I'm on the bottom. I see it in their eyes when I crack open a coconut and they didn't cheer for me. They cheered for Jon and they don't like me. I don't think. My best friend out here is Jon. And as they were finishing the puzzle, I was thinking I was gonna throw him under the bus to try to stay.
No, Uzo.
You're so unimpressed by your best friend on the show.
Like, did you realize that Andy was reality show gold before that moment?
Yeah.
It was, you say, hey, what if I went on Survivor? And then the next thing you know, you're pushing a rowboat up the sand of a beach filled with incredibly heavy objects. You're winded, you're exhausted, you've lost. And then the person you're playing with has an implosion in front of everyone. And you've literally, you've watched basically all of Survivor. You've never seen this happen before. You've watched it. I can't think of a moment like this.
No, I mean, the thing is if Andy had been voted off this episode, him whining about people not being impressed that he opened a coconut would still go down in Survivor lore. It was amazing and iconic, and I have never seen anybody gestalt meta throw someone under the bus like that.
Your head snapped, because it was so wild.
It was amazing.
Yes, it is a sort of in my reverie, I imagine doing something bad, and now I'm doing it. That was so strange. It feels like a lifetime ago. You all saw this yesterday. This was for me months ago. Do you know what it's like to put on your calendar, in May, or in June, that in September there's going to be a night where people make fun of you? You've never done that. I want you all to open up your calendars right now and put in February. Everyone I know will text you, buddy.
I texted John, who amongst us has not been drawn into a cute bisexual's instability?
Happens to the best of us. How far do you think you'd make it on Survivor?
Not to the rowing the boat up the sand. I know that part. Not that part.
Do you at this point think it is a well-constructed game, John?
Yes. I think that I paid the price for what makes the modern seasons more interesting, which is shot in the dark, beware advantages, small tribes. You never feel comfortable and you never feel safe. And the challenge I face so there's something called shot in the dark, which means that if you think you're going to be voted out, you can play your shot in the dark, which means you give up your vote, but you have a 1 in 6, basically a roll of the dice to whether or not you'll be safe. So basically, if you really think you're screwed, you do your shot in the dark and you got a 1 in 6 chance of staying. But what that means is, in the old era, people would just be like, Guy, we're sorry, but we're voting you the fuck out of here. And you'd be like, damn, and then you'd go and it would be uneventful. Now they look at you and they're like, we're voting for Uzo, but they're not. And so everybody is telling me they're voting for Andy.
No.
And this was a circumstance, I truly hadn't considered this. I really didn't, which is, it's one thing to knock on somebody's door and say, hi, we're here to try to get a vote for Kamala Harris. And they're like, well, we're supporting Trump. You can have a conversation. But what if they're supporting Trump, but tell you it's Kamala? You're like, I think you should vote for Kamala. Well, I am.
And then what? Yeah.
And then what? No, but I mean, really. So that was a really interesting challenge that I hadn't expected.
Did you believe it?
No,
No,
not even for a second. Not even for a second.
Who was the guy who called himself a wolf in wolf's clothing?
Sam.
Were you as turned on when he said it as I was? I think that Sam and was her name Annika?
Annika.
Sam and Annika were both alphas, and I think that when you started strategizing far too well, far too quickly, when you started strategizing, I think both of them were like, there can't be three of us here.
No, well, what's interesting is that's interesting that's what you get from this, because in one of the edit is very fair, but they actually couldn't show that, really I had built a very good relationship with Annika in the first day. The reason the vote kind of turned to her was in part because her name had been thrown out for complicated and boring reasons. But if Andy hadn't melted down, or if we hadn't lost, there was a natural thing happening where Annika and I were talking. Annika would pull in Rachel, I'd pull in Andy, and we had a 4. Yeah. That was the direction I thought we were heading, and why I wasn't as nervous. It wasn't until Andy implodes that for a couple reasons, that path closed.
I mean, and the edit gives you none of that because while watching it, I was just like, why is Jon not girlfriending the girls? And because what I said I would do is I would be working Annika.
So I was in good stead with Annika, and then Andy kind of had pulled me in, just like, this is like, we're talking about one or two conversations, very soft, very early relationships, but basically I thought, oh, this is the natural four. It wasn't until watching the episode that I realized how much Andy had alienated Rachel.
Yeah.
And so once Andy alienates Rachel, you have not seen any of this.
No, but let me tell you, I'm super in because I watched the first season of Survivor when it came. I know. I watched the first.
I did too.
Like religiously. We had a family that we could not watch it, and my best friend Crowley, we could not watch an episode without every single person being present. So I'm clear on the rules of the game and the world. So I am like diving in. So fascinated. Here's my question, though. So after the vote, what happened with you and Andy? Did you genuinely, were you like, he's like my bestie, but are you like, whatever?
There's a moment in there. I have no ill will towards anybody in the game because it's just a game, and if anyone takes it too seriously while you're in the game, I think you've lost the plot. This is a competition. Anything is fair game. Who cares? But there was a moment, there's a moment where I think Andy's like where he says he's bi, and you can see in my face, I'm like, okay. And like, it was like what Rachel said, I think was kind of true, which is like, you just feel someone coming on a little bit strong, but it's like, he wants to work together, great. Yeah. But I was really trying to like have something with Andy, something with Annika, something with Rachel. That felt like the path for me, not realizing that the Rachel, Andy thing was happening.
Because having a somewhat unstable, goofy person is a good, solid strategy. Many people have had that person there to sort of like take the arrows, take the attacks on their behalf. I think I understood why they kept him around, even though he was clearly a weakness to the team.
I just think it wasn't that complicated in the end, which is Sam was very strong in the challenge. We would need him for the next challenge. Sam was tight with Sierra. Annika and Rachel were kind of in the middle. Sam and I were on the other side. Andy breaks down because Rachel was down on Andy, and I would either have to pull in Andy or pull in Sierra, and this is getting too much. Let me say it faster. By the time once we got off the mat, what Andy had done, whether inadvertently or on purpose, was basically say, I'm no longer a threat, and Jon continues to be one, right? Yeah. He just sort of went prostrate. He just like laid himself out in front of the whole entire season. And so from that point forward, it's like, of course, he's, bring him along.
Uzo, do you think there was some Real Housewives wine throwing strategy that Jon could have done as a Hail Mary?
You mean like, let's talk about the husbands?
Yes. I think the great Sandra Diaz Twine once overturned a bucket of fish to upset attention. Yeah. I think it might have been a time to shit in the rice, Jon. You should have considered shitting in the rice.
I want to address that point, but before we do, Uzo, Uzo, you just wrote a memoir about your mother. The Road is Good, and I presume it was mostly about this reality TV.
Fully centers the entire book.
What would your Real Housewives tagline be?
My Housewives tagline would be something like, probably like, you don't need pepper. You don't need Nigerian pepper for all this spice.
Ooh. I like that. Well, Uzo, we have to let you go. You have to go.
Yes.
I'm so sorry that we had such a brief time together.
But this was amazing. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, that's what's the word. It was so lovely to meet you. Thank you for being here. Congrats on the book.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. The book is The Road is Good.
The Road is Good.
All right. And it is good.
Thank you.
Uzo Aduba, thank you so much. Guy's going to stick around. Watch out for the Emmy. Guy, can we pick this up and put this on a table?
Emmys are so pointy.
They are pointy. They are. Look at that beautiful Emmy. Oh, man. I don't know what's harder for me to get.
I'm
An immunity idol or a fucking Emmy?
I'm sorry to be second guessing you. It's how you watch the game.
No, of course, and we'll edit it out, so it's fine. Let's roll one more clip.
Right now, it's either me or Andy, or I can try to vote Annika. If I'm gonna be on this show for one episode, one glorious and perfect episode, I'd rather go out swinging and making some kind of a move rather than just hoping for the best. I don't wanna hope for the best. I wanna try to figure something out.
I look good there. That's the truth.
You look real fucking good. You got to name the episode.
I know. And what's funny is Travis, friend of the show, texted me when he saw the episode title and said, I know you. I know what happened now.
Oh, wow.
Because he saw one perfect and glorious episode and he thought, well, I know who said that. And that's not a good sign.
It's beautiful to be known.
It is beautiful to be known. It is beautiful to be known. And then sometimes beautiful to not be known, to never have been known. Like, one thing people want to know is, why did I wear Todd Snyder knits?
Jon, let's be fair. This is not a show for stars, okay? Some people shine so bright that everyone notices them, and that's not what you're supposed to do on Survivor.
Is that what you're supposed to do on Traders?
It is what you're supposed to do on the Traders.
Watch the space. Hey, Guy, you won an Emmy.
I won an Emmy. Thank you. Along with like 10 other people who worked on Hacks, but still.
A great night for Hacks. A great night for Hacks.
It was
a great night for comedy.
It was a great night for Hacks. It was a great night for friend of the show, Travis.
Yes, it was a good night for friend of the show, Travis.
I talked to Jodie Foster, Ricky Martin, and I got quality time with Connie Britton. I drunk said, I never watched the football show. To which she replied, why? It's the best one. And I was like, good for you, Connie Britton. Oh, and political news, I asked Ricky Martin, are you going to be governor of Puerto Rico one day? And he said, fuck yeah.
What a night.
What a night.
It's TV's biggest night. Do you think it was worth it, me going on Survivor?
I'm stunned that you took a month off of work for what could have been done on like a summer Friday hack day. No.
This was a source of, I would say, discussion today with John and Tommy.
No, I think it is very beautiful because you have had some success in your life, and it would be very easy for you to insulate yourself from challenging experiences that push you out of your comfort zone. You got pushed out of, you went and you did this thing, essentially, other than like a really, really bad MRSA, the worst thing that could have happened. And it's fun and awesome. Like, I am so proud of you. And also, usually, they come back and they can never eat coconut again because they had to eat coconut for 30 days.
Not me.
You probably didn't eat that much coconut.
Nope. I'm just a guy that missed 3 dinners.
Can we retitle the episode? I think that is a better episode.
That is funny.
Here's the real question. What was your time in the Ponderosa like?
So this is interesting. So all joking aside, I really tried. So you talk about having a difficult experience. Part of what was interesting to me about it was the competition, but also like the fact that like I put a lot of insecurity into how I look, into how I seem, and so I get to host this show, and I get a lot of control over what I sound like. There's parts of it I can't control, my talent level, but there's but like I do the best.
Because you can't control the infinite.
That's right. Thank you. Beautiful. But I really like. And like some things I just let go, even though on some level I kind of wish I didn't, because I want everything to be exactly how it looks, and I'm really sensitive about how I look physically, just my physical appearance. I have a lot of anxiety tied up in that, and there was something about ceding over control. Like I could not, I don't think, do some of these challenges just for the physical effort of it.
Yeah.
But if you tell me this is going to be on television whether you like it or not. I'll do what is demanded, right? Like I will have given over myself to this process, and I'll have given up the right to edit. Like even when we were in the run up to shooting it, they took pictures of us, and I was like, "Can I see them?" And the photographer was like, "This is Survivor." Like you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's happening. It's a really fascinating process. But so I was really trying to enjoy that experience. You hand over your phone, and then all of a sudden you're kind of no longer knowing what's going to happen next. And I just tried to be at peace with that. Like, I don't have the ability to connect to the internet. I have the books that I brought. I don't even really know what time it is. And so the days leading up to the game are fascinating. You're not really allowed to talk. All these things have been publicly talked about before. And then after the game, you're like kind of shocked. You trying to parsing. You're alone, kind of going over what happened. Though they have really great people there. And then one by one, other people have the experience you had 2 days before. And what's really interesting about it is everybody who gets voted off of Survivor or any reality show, myself included, you tell a story of it. That's the truest thing you can get away with that makes you feel as good as you can feel about the experience, without exception. Yeah. I'm doing that right now. But for the first couple of hours, you haven't done that work yet. You're still surprised. And so you're sitting in this place, and one by one, someone's coming down the stairs, and they're just raw. And they're talking about what they did right, what they did wrong. How could I have done this? How could I have let this happen? How did this person pull one over on me? I thought I could trust that person. And that experience of being there for every single person who was voted out was one of the most fascinating experiences. I learned more about the show from those moments than from any viewing of it or even like podcast about it or information I could gather in the run-up. That was fascinating.
Do you, like, having only missed 3 dinners, do you feel connected? No, but do you feel connected to this community now? Like, because the people who have been Survivor are a really interesting community. They are bonded by a very strange experience.
Yes. I mean, look, I am sure, like, I do in part because it's less that I feel like I don't think I would feel like boy, Parvati, Survivor, we get it. But I do know
she went out relatively early on season 13 Cook Islands.
Good point. Such an important point. But it is sort of like, no, you don't understand until you've been in it what the experience is like, especially the parts that are never on television, right? The boat rides between challenges, the moments of silence, like those are very memorable experiences.
Just the boat ride in, I was like, how is Jon not terrified? Like, how is Jon not terrified?
There was a moment where I saw the mud. I just like saw the mud. And it's the kind of thing where you just think there's going to be more time. You think like this is a TV set, so there's going to be a lot of time, and it's just like, all right, mud, let's go. Jeff's hands are up. We're doing this. How can that possibly be? How could it possibly be that it's time to go in the mud? And yet it is. And then you're in the mud, and then you're out of the mud, and there's a challenge happening around you, and it's all going to be on television. It's
amazing.
So
and
exciting.
You lived that, and you gave that to your life, and I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. And like, I guess like what's funny too is it's like I was dreading's not the word. I was very anxious about the coming of this day because I didn't know what the episode was going to look like. Mm-hmm. You don't know. I fell out of a boat. It's not in the episode. Fell right out. Just could have been in there. Isn't. Thank you. So I knew what was going to happen, but I did not know how I would feel about how I was portrayed, even though on some level I went in saying, I trust this. On some level, I trust that, the good you do and the bad you do in the ledger of the edit, you come out, I think, fairly compensated. But then I saw it and I was reminded of actually how much fun it is. Like there was one period of time that's not captured in the show, which is I was really trying to have fun and kind of be a little bit self-aware about like how strange and unique this experience was, and reminding myself over and over again that like you caught this car, you ran full speed across the world to catch this car. You are in Fiji to catch this car. You cannot be like, do not be upset about this experience. And there was like one period of time, like an hour, where after the immunity challenge, I felt the walls circling, getting closer, and I started getting really like kind of like anxious and in my head and kind of panicked about it. And then I kind of like caught it, and I had like one or two conversations that I probably wouldn't be particularly proud of if they were in the episode. Yeah. Thankfully, there was so much that they couldn't use it. And then I like had a moment where I thought, chill the fuck out. Do not like, don't forget that this is 100% optional. This is an extracurricular, and that was very helpful. But other than that, it was an absolute blast. When we come back, the Runt Wheel.